Okay, you got this. Reviewer. I am a reviewer. One movie, one score to judge it for eternity. Criticize like a Siskel, insult the movie like an Ebert. I am a critic.
Hey, laser dude, you ready?
Oh, you better believe I am. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another animated look back. Cars is one of Pixar's stranger animated films, and that's saying a lot. This is John Lasseter's passion project. After he took his family on a trip across America on the good old Route 66, he wanted to inspire people to go out there and see the true America. And all it really did was inspire people to buy a bunch of toys. To understand the confusion that Cars gave us back in the day, you have to understand where Pixar was in 2006. Because, Pixar was on a hot streak. They had made hit after hit after hit since 1995. They were on a 6-movie hot streak. No other film company had their reputation because they weren't just making good quality movies for the kids, they were also challenging the stereotypes that people had, making people see that, oh, these are just good movies. They're not just good for kids. They are good quality films, and they were breaking that stereotype that animated movies were just for children.
I tell you, you guys are kind of in your wood-fired pizza mode, and a lot of you where, yeah, I work at the place where we make hit after hit. But, I'm telling you, I've been out in the real world, as some of you also have been, and you who have been out there know what I'm talking about. This is an anomaly. This place is really freakishly alone in this hit after hit aspect.
And their last film was The Incredibles, arguably one of their best films ever. So we were really excited to see what they were going to do next. And it was talking cars. What? The confusion that we all had was quite apparent. We're like, look, I'm Pixar. I'm a diehard fan, and I'll trust every decision you make. But this was the first time going into the film where I was a little bit worried of what I was going to get to see if it was actually going to be anything good. Because talking cars is just a weird concept. Now, you might ask, hey, Laser Dude, they made movies about talking toys and bugs and stuff like that before. Why is talking cars so out there? Well, it's because in the movies with talking bugs and talking toys, they still fit well into their world, It was like, well, they're toys, but they're in toys in our world. So, it's not like they're walking around in their own society, so much to speak. They're walking around in our society. Where here, it was a world just built on cars, and it's just like, I don't get how cars, do the buildings and whatnot, and the infrastructure of the whole, it didn't make sense.
I'm telling you, man. Every third blink is slower.
The 60s weren't good to you, were they?
When I first started on YouTube, I had this thing I did whenever I reviewed a Pixar review where I had this stick, and on the stick it said, the good Pixar movie streak, as if to say that Pixar had not made a bad movie, and this stick symbolizes that, and the moment they did, I was going to break it. I really wish I still had that, because I would have relished snapping that when I saw The Good Dinosaur. Or, you know what, maybe I should have broken it at Cars 2. Or maybe even Brave, I don't know. But, you know what, the question remains, looking back at it now, would I have broken it after seeing Cars? It's an interesting question. And that's what we're going to get into. So buckle your seatbelts as we review Pixar's Cars. So let's start off by looking at the animation. And like always, Pixar never seems to disappoint. The world looks stunning. There's lots of standouts like the fun race car scenes.
Wait a second, Daryl. McQueen is in the wreckage.
There's no way the rookie can make it through. Not in one piece, that is.
I actually really like how fun and creative they are, and it's impressive considering it's a race that just goes around in a circle.
I'm gonna drive, and I'm gonna go fast, and I'm gonna turn to the left sometimes.
And also considering I know next to nothing about NASCAR, the film does a really good job of setting us up in the world and what the stakes are and everything happening in the moment. It actually does a really good job of sucking you in with the intro.
Lightning McQueen!
You know, I don't think anybody expected this. The rookie sensation came into the season unknown, but everyone knows him now.
Will he be the first rookie to win a Piston Cup and land Dinoco?
The legend, the runner-up, and the rookie. 3 cars, 1 champion.
The landscapes and the backgrounds and stuff of the world are really good too. I mean, some of these still images you could just use as a painting because they're just really absolutely beautiful. And say what you will about the world of cars, whether it actually makes sense to have a world of cars running around. But I will say that the animators did their best job to try to make it make sense to their best of their abilities. They went all out at making a very detailed world filled with Easter eggs and fun designs. As far as the way the world looks and everything, I have absolutely no complaints. I do, however, have one major complaint, and that is the designs of the cars themselves. Because it makes no sense, okay? Let's break this down, okay? You know, for the most part, it's a car, so like a Transformer, it's made out of metal, it's rubber wheels, it's fiberglass siding or plastic. Look, I don't know anything about cars except how to drive one, and even that, it depends on who you ask. But, you know, basically everything is just regular car material, except for this. What on earth is this? Okay? We got metal and plastic, and fiberglass and wheels and everything, and then a big fleshy tongue and teeth. What? Look, I get that in order to make it work, we have to give them a mouth, and I'm also sure they tried adding a metal tongue and teeth and it would have looked stupid. So I'm not even necessarily saying that I have a better option that they should have done. I mean, maybe you could have done it like Doc. Like Doc just has the grill and he doesn't. We don't ever see his teeth or his tongue. So maybe you could have done it like that. But I understand not every car has a grill, so you can't necessarily do that. Look, I'm sure they probably workshopped this design to death, and this was the best that they could do. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. Also, the eyes are weird, like, because, like, of course, since it's one windshield, they basically have, like, Sonic-like eyes, where they have 2 eyeballs and 1 eyelid that's connected, so that's a little weird, but they also have, like, things that move down to help, you know, express their face, but what are those supposed to be? I don't know. And it's weird because it's like they're trying to make them real cars on one hand, but also their own species on the other. Like, take a quick look at this scene. We see that, you know, the cars can drink fuel, just like, you know, from their mouth.
Wow, this organic fuel is great. Why haven't I heard about it before?
It's a conspiracy, man!
However, they also get fuel the old-fashioned way, too.
Hey, what are you doing?
It's okay, Sheriff. You can trust me, right?
And we see that their car doors still work because of this scene.
I'm Lightning McQueen, the famous race car. I'm being held here against my will, and I need you to call my team so they can come rescue me and get me to California in time for me to win the Piston Cup. Do you understand? No.
I mean, this just makes me so curious. Like, don't you wonder what's inside these cars? Don't you just wonder, like, what is going on in the inner workings? Is it all mechanical? Is it a little bit fleshy? Is it, like, what is going on in there? You know what? I'm gonna find out. Yeah, I'm gonna find out once and for all what's happening there. Be right back.
Well, so you see, my strategy when it comes to being a race car is to drive really fast. I don't know if other cars have that plan, but that's kind of what I do. It works for me. That's my thing. Get a good look in there, buddy, did you? Oh, where are you gonna run to? I am literally speed.
Okay, time to repress that memory. Anyway, I think the reason it bothers me so much is because, like, you know, Pixar is taking this world a little bit too seriously. I mean, you might think, dude, that's Pixar's 101, you know? Take a silly concept, but then take it seriously and explore what the real ramifications would be. Yeah, but I feel like with a world of talking cars, you gotta dial it back a little bit. I mean, it's like, whenever I saw an episode of Bob the Builder, I wasn't like, well, how are his machineries alive? Can we fix it? Can we see what the soul is from these things? You know, I'm not worried about those sort of things because the world doesn't take itself seriously. But the world of cars does, because all they're doing is talking about, you know, deal sponsorships and how the town was passed over when the interstate went in and stuff like that. You know, when that happens, it's just like, okay, well, then you're taking yourself a little bit more seriously than you should. But beyond that, I don't really have any hard complaints about the animations of the characters. It all looks very unique, and they all have personalities based off of their make and model. And I'm sure if you are a car person, there's probably a lot of jokes that just whizzed over my head, because since I'm not a car person, I just don't get it, and I don't watch NASCAR. So there's probably a lot of things in there for the avid car fan. So in the world of the animation, while there is one thing that kind of bugs me, I kind of don't have a better solution, so it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the characters in the story, I feel like that's where it doesn't hold itself up to the Pixar standard. Like, let's just quickly go over it. In this story, we follow Lightning McQueen, a hotshot rookie race car who's trying to win the Piston Cup. After a tie in the last race of the season, he gets lost on the drive to the track and ends up destroying the road of a small town called Radiator Springs. He is tasked with fixing the road, and of course, he hates being tied down to the small town as he is Mr. Big Shot. But over time, he grows to love the town and its citizens, and they grow to love him in return, and he learns to be better and even finds love. Wait a minute! You realize what this is? You realize what Cars is? Think about it! A big shot city person goes to a small town in the middle of nowhere. At first they hate the town, but slowly they get an appreciation for the town and the small things in life and the citizens of the town, even falling in love. You realize what this is? Cars is a... Yeah, it's a flippin' Hallmark movie! Honestly, if he fell in love with a mountain man and it was set at Christmas time, Hallmark could have sued! And let's start right there. The biggest weakness of Cars is its story. It's a typical cliched hotshot becomes down-to-earth story, and because of that, there is nothing really special about it. And that goes double for our main character, because like Lightning McQueen, his character personality, before he changes later in the movie, his personality, all he is a douchebag.
Where are you going?
We quit, Mr. One-Man Show!
Oh, okay, leave, fine. How will I ever find anyone else who knows how to fill me up with gas? I'll stay up with you.
All night?
All night long. Officer, talk to me, babe. How long is this gonna take? I gotta get to California pronto.
Where's your lawyer?
I don't know, Tahiti, maybe. The race is only one lap, guys. Uno lapo. Don't need any help. I work solo mio.
It looks awful.
Well, it matches the rest of the town.
I've always struggled to like characters who are made to be dislikable, and it's the same here. You know, Lightning McQueen is such a selfish, arrogant, full of himself, drives around like his exhaust don't stink type of character for no really good reason. And that's odd to see from Pixar, because they were really good at telling you stories where characters were doing the wrong thing, but at the very least, you could understand where they were coming from. You know, like Woody's jealous of Buzz comes from his love for Andy. You know, Marlin's overprotection of Nemo comes from his fear of losing his wife and all of his other kids. Those are relatable reasons why somebody is doing the wrong thing. Here, Lightning McQueen is just a douchebag. And at least when other characters did this, they had like something else with them. You know, like Emperor Kuzco from Emperor's New Groove is just as much of an entitled douchebag, but at least his character is funny and you're laughing at him throughout the movie. Lightning McQueen doesn't even have that. He just acts entitled and like he's better than everyone else the whole movie, and that's it. Now, when he eventually does come around and he stops being a jerk, is he likable then? Yeah. No, I actually really do like the scene where he tries to help everybody in the town a little bit, you know, in any way he can. I like that about his character. It's really good.
They fixed their neon.
Low and slow?
Oh, yeah, baby. just like in its heyday, right?
I don't know how he fixed the neon, like he has flipping wheels for limbs. I don't know how that works, but okay, whatever. And after he comes around, the moment at the end of the race where he decides not to win, but help King finish his last race, is actually a really good one.
What are you doing, kid?
I think the king should finish his last race.
You just gave up the piston cup. You know that?
This grumpy old race car I know once told me something.
It's just an empty cup.
Yeah, all of these make him, you know, a likable character. The problem is he does such a 180 so quickly that it feels like it's two different characters. He only has one night of fun with Mater and one romantic drive with Sally, then all of a sudden he is the nicest guy in the world. It's like after one day you go from Gary Busey to Jimmy Stewart. It just doesn't work that way. And the problem is we didn't have a character for McQueen other than him being a jerk. That was his character. I mean, we get like one scene, one quick scene showing us that his hotshot life isn't fulfilling, and it's this.
Listen, they're giving you 20 tickets for the tiebreaker thing in Cali. I'll pass them on to your friends. You shoot me the names. You let Harv rock it for you, all right, baby?
Right, friends. Yes, there's,
Okay, I get it, Mr. Popper. There's so many friends you can't even narrow it down. Hey.
But that is about it, and that is not enough. When being a jerk is your character's entire identity, it makes it impossible for your character to really have any development. You just become a new character the moment you become a good person. And also, the way this story is being told, you know, with them being cards, it limits what you can do with a character like this. Because sometimes in a story like this, where somebody is being a mean person, you can go into their backstory, say they had, you know, a tragicness happen when they were young, show how they were spoiled when they were a kid, and stuff like that. Here, you can't do that. They're cars. They weren't born. They were made by something. Like, let's pretend for a second that this wasn't a race car. This was just a regular old racer. You could say how, when he was a child, he loved to race. His dream was to be a racer. And after he got into the big time, it kind of corrupted him. And he let himself forget why he loved racing to begin with, and let himself get drawn into the greedy side of it. And now he's finding who he is again. But you can't do that in cars because they're cars. They weren't born. They were made. Who's your daddy? Ford, I guess. Also, talking about the other cars in the town for a second, they are some of the most pointless side characters I have ever seen. Like, if I was able to sum them up in a metaphor, I think I would describe them all as very... one note. Like the fire truck does nothing but cry, the hippie does nothing but say hippie stuff, the Jeep does nothing but yell at the hippie. I mean, the only ones that really have any character to them is Luigi and Guido. Luigi because, you know, he's an over-the-top Italian, and it's pretty, it's, you know, it might be a little bit Super Mario, but, you know, it's not too bad. At least he has a big bubbly personality and, you know, a character trait that he loves Ferraris. And Guido, well, he's memorable because he has one of the greatest scenes in cinema history.
That was the fastest pit stop I've ever seen.
I mean, say what you will about this movie, but that scene is flippin' perfect. Flo and Ramon have great voices and personalities, but don't really do anything in the movie. Ramon's only thing he does is spray paint, and that is it.
Ooh, Ramon, Mama ain't seen you that low in years.
I haven't seen a road like this in years.
Well, then let's cruise, baby.
Low and slow.
And the cop is just a cop, and so, you know, they're all pretty bland. But you know the one character I do find really, really enjoyable? It's the Model T. I don't know why, but her lines are just so funny. They just make me laugh every time.
Red, can you move over? I want to get a look at that sexy hot rod. The only guy strong enough to fix that road is Big Al.
Lizzie, Big Al left like 15 years ago.
Then why are you bringing him up, you lemon? Oh. You keep talking to yourself. People think you're crazy.
Thanks for the tip.
What? I wasn't talking to you.
However, I just want to say, it's probably a good thing for this town that lightning kind of came around to them, because if he didn't, oh boy, this town would be in for some legal troubles. Hello, I am Lightning McQueen's lawyer. Two things. Yes, all lawyers are PT Cruisers because everyone hates us, and yet for some reason we're still here. And second, Lightning McQueen is suing the town of Radiator Springs.
I knew he was going to be bad for this town.
I am just here to review his claims to make sure they are accurate. First things first, he says that he was lost and scared and got chased by a police officer.
Well, yeah, he was speeding and it destroyed our road.
Did you question him once you had him into custody?
Well, no.
Is it not true that your muffler exhibits a loud noise which could be confused for a gunshot and therefore he couldn't think that he was fleeing for his life?
Well, maybe.
And then after you did arrest him, when was his trial?
It was the next day. We needed justice of us.
And did you allow Lightning McQueen to contact his lawyer? He said you were in Tahiti or something. So you admit you proceeded with trial even though my client did not have his lawyer present?
Oh, well, we gave him a lawyer. He had Mater.
Right, that brings me to that point. Mr. Mater, how long has it been since you passed the bar?
Well, dang gum, I done pass the bar every day to forget about my troubles.
You have no legal degree, is that correct?
I know, but we have in my junkyard, there's plenty of stuff back there.
So you not only gave my client an incompetent lawyer, you gave him somebody who wasn't a lawyer at all. Then if that wasn't bad enough, on top of all of this, the judge, Doc Hudson, that's correct, right?
Yes.
You actually threw out this case, didn't you?
Well, yes, I didn't want a spoiled race car in my town.
But then what happened?
Well, Sally came in and convinced me that he should fix up his mess.
So let me get this straight. Even though you had thrown out the case, made your official ruling and everything, because the prosecutor came in and gave you a little speech, you changed your mind? You know you can't do that, right? Once you've made your official ruling, if you want to make any changes, an appeal needs to happen. Did you think that your previous ruling just didn't count? That you could say, whoops, my bad? And then on top of that, then you hold my client hostage in this town.
Now, wait a minute. He wasn't held hostage. He was being detained till the road was fixed.
Oh, really? Yeah? Did you allow him to make contact with anybody? The entire world was going crazy looking for this man, and you didn't allow him to make one single phone call. You also rationed his food intake so he wouldn't leave, and you didn't allow him to get somebody else to fix the road. Do you know who this man is? He's a famous race car. I'm sure he told you this. He could have paid for somebody else to fix the road. Why did he have to do it himself personally? Also, why on earth did you think a race car with no experience at road making would make a good road?
Well, dang gum, when you say it like that, it sounds stupid.
Look, long story short, at the very worst, you're all going to jail. At the very least, say goodbye to Radiator Springs.
Well, okay, goodbye, Radiator Springs.
I should have left him to die in that ditch. Nobody would have found him.
But let's take a look at the villain. And I gotta say, this villain, it's just a typical over-the-top, cliched, oh, I want money, I want fame, I'm so full of myself, and I absolutely love it.
Welcome to the chick era, baby. Piston cup? It's mine, dude. It's mine. Hey, fellas, how do you think I'd look in Dynaco Blue? Dynaco Blue!
He is voiced by my favorite actor right now, Michael Keaton, and he just puts such douchebag energy into this character that I just absolutely have to love him. He's pushing all the cars off the road, which, a side note, in a world where everybody has cars, wouldn't that be considered attempted murder or something? I don't know.
I am not coming in behind you again, old man.
But anyway, I love that this whole movie we are building up to the Piston Cup. It's being such a huge and important thing. And at the end of the movie, where they finally give it to him, it's just like thrown on stage like it's absolutely nothing.
Bring out the Piston Cup. Ka-chika, ka-chika. Yeah! Now that's what I'm talking about. Hey, how come the only one celebrating is me, huh? Where are the girls? Bring on the confetti. Ow! Ow! Easy with the confetti.
It really hits home the message of the film. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like Chick Hicks is anything that special as a villain, but he's fun, you know? He's over the top, you know, when he's mad, you're laughing at him, and honestly, that's enough for me. Then there is Sally, the love interest played by Bonnie Hunt, and honestly, there's not really a lot to her character. Like I said before, with Lightning, who is his only character personality is him being a jerk, her only character personality really is that she doesn't like him at first and then grows to like him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I scare you?
Is that what I think it is?
Oh, I don't know, Flo. I haven't had a chance to find out, but I am going to find out. Hello.
I mean, at least they do establish why she loves the town and all that, but it's one quick scene, and that is pretty much it. Everything else about the character is just tied in with her feelings towards Lightning, and that's really all her character is. She's the love interest character, doesn't make her a character on her own right. And I feel like her character is just checking off a bunch of things, like in some sort of weird cliche recipe, you know? Like, oh, hey, let's follow the recipe. Wait, what's happening? Hey, welcome to Cooking Cliches, where we make the same plot every single time. First thing we're going to do today is make up an animated romance that is mediocre to the core. So first thing you want to do is going to preheat your oven to 300 degrees of not caring. Don't even worry about it. Alright, let's get rid of that. First thing you want to do is mix in a little bit of the character being a douchebag, right? You got, oh, let's see, you miss it, you miss the mark. That's the important part. It has to miss the mark. It needs to be totally unlikable. So, your character makes a fool out of himself, maybe he's a bit of a douchebag to the person he's supposed to be interested in. You want to make these characters hate each other right from the start. Now, for her, you got to make sure she has, you know, a little bit of fluff to her. You know, she's already a good person. She doesn't need to do any changing in her life because her job is only to support the other character. You know, she's not a character on herself. She just has fluff. And we need a lot more fluff with that because, you know, that's all she is. It's important for both characters to have a little bit of saltiness in them, you know, to be just at each other's necks at all times. So, you know, a little bit of salt for her. She says a couple of mean things, you know, a couple of, sassy things just to show she's a little bit, and a lot of salt for him because he's going to be a douchebag throughout most of this. But then, bada boom, what do I see? Oh, the cracks are showing. He's starting to become a nice guy over like one day. What an amazing thing. He cracks right open, becomes a full-fledged character. So now that we're starting to get along, we gotta get a little sweet on each other, you know? We gotta get some sweetness in there. Maybe some one-on-one time where they show some affection for each other. Nothing too big yet, just a little bit of a, you know, this is like my whole new world of the movie, but, you know, less earned because, you know, it hasn't really been all that prevalent. You know, the characters just don't like each other. Now they're starting to for some reason whatsoever. It's like one scene, now they're starting to. And now's the point where you bring in the sugar. You put it on there. Oh, now they're all sweet on each other. Everything's going so beautifully. They like each other now. And now he goes. Yeah, he has to leave for a little bit. He has to be like, oh, I have to leave. And she's got to be like, oh, it's the end of the world. We'll never see each other. Even though they live in a world with telephones and stuff and can easily keep in touch, they have to be like, it's the end of the world. We'll never see each other again. And then he comes back. All right, now that you've got all that done, you mix it all together, put it on a pan, and totally forget that she was even a character in the next movies. Absolutely forget about it. Give it like 1 or 2 scenes, but don't even acknowledge her for the most part. The only thing left to do is take it, release it to the public, and let them gobble it up. That is mediocre. Ooh, that is hot. Join me next time on Cooking Cliches, where I show you how to make the blandest of all villains. Well, that was weird. Anyway, yeah, so the film does all of that. Follows the basic formulaic thing, doesn't deviate it in any real way, and it just makes her kind of bland. Then there is Mater. Whoa, boy, this character. I mean, I feel like this character is the only reason any of us still know who Larry the Cable Guy even is. You know, he just would have been another hot-for-the-moment comedian if it wasn't for this role. Honestly, I think he goes to bed every night praying,
"Hey God, how y'all doing? I just wanted to say thank you for Pixar. I've made so much money after voicing that one character. I'm just so grateful that my career peaked at just the right moment that I could hop on the Pixar bandwagon. I know that I'd be completely forgotten by now if it wasn't for that character. This must be how Tim Allen feels."
So for Mater, most people either hate this character with a passion, or they are 5. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm sure there's adults who like this character, but for the most part, nobody really loves him. He's kind of annoying.
You're in love with Miss Sally.
Okay, that's real mature, Mater, real grown up.
You love her, you love her, you love her, you love her, you love her.
All right, okay, Mater, enough.
He has moments that do make you laugh, but he also has moments that make you shrug and be like, what are you even doing?
You know, I once knew this girl, Doreen. Good-looking girl. Looked just like a Jaguar. Only she was a truck.
You know, I used to crash into her just so I could spoke to her.
Like the tractor tipping scene. Like, I don't get it. Like, sure, I understand these characters need to do something to make them bond as friends, but that whole scene is a bunch of blah to me. Like, honestly, the only real memorable part of that scene is that it leads into Lightning McQueen's dream for the next day, and that sequence is hilarious. However, the reason I think this character does resonate with children is the same reason I think he doesn't with adults. He's loud, he's annoying, he's over the top. Kids love that.
Great.
Hey, what's wrong?
My lucky sticker's all dirty.
Ah, that ain't nothing. I'll clean it for you.
That won't be necessary.
It's all the complexities of a Teletubby, and that is the reason why I think it was a mistake making him the lead in Cars 2. But at the very least, I will say, he has a clear character and personality, and he sticks with it, and it's, you know, at least memorable. Like, for me personally, I don't actually hate Mater. I don't really even find him all that annoying. I just find him more by the book. The only thing I can really find annoying about him is his voice, but I feel like that's a preference because, you know, his voice does exhibit a clear personality. So I wouldn't even call it bad voice acting. But I could clearly see how this sort of thing might be grating and honestly maybe even a little bit of stereotypical. But that's kind of why kids like him, and honestly, I'll admit he has some moments that make me laugh.
He won 3 piston cups.
He did what in his cup?
The problem with Mater is indicative of the problem with the movie itself. The previous Pixar movies felt like they were just good movies that kids could also enjoy. This was the first time it felt like Pixar was making a kids movie that adults might get a couple of chuckles out of. I mean, let's be honest, this movie is as deep as a puddle in the desert, but, you know, it's for kids. And I don't say that in a way that most people say it. When I have had so many comments, people say, it's a kids movie, why are you taking it so seriously? You know, with those are just badly made movies, and, you know, I've always said with kids movies, you gotta try harder because you gotta make a movie that's actually gonna challenge them. Now, this movie isn't necessarily going to be challenging, but it's not brain dead. It's not terrible. It's not going to rot your child's brain or anything like that. It's just a movie you don't really have to think that hard about. However, after saying all of that, let me talk about one of the characters I really did like, which was Doc Hudson, played by Paul Newman. Now, this character is a grumpy old man who seems to have some words of wisdom for our young racer, but then we find out that Doc used to be a big-time racer himself, and honestly, the scene where Lightning finds out that is actually one of my favorite in the movie.
They quit on me. When I finally got put together, I went back expecting a big welcome. You know what they said? Your history. Moved right on to the next bookie standing in line.
It shows the cruel world of professional sports and sets up the end of the film where McQueen gives up his victory so that the king isn't discarded like Doc was. And both of these parts of the movie, I think, do make it stand out more than other racing films. Like, a lot of time when the hero doesn't win the race in the end, it's because of something that I think is forced and stupid. And where this, I kind of understand it more. I mean, don't get me wrong, it isn't the most brilliant thing Pixar has ever done, but with those moments, there are times that I was invested with the characters and what they were doing. Not to say that Doc is a perfect character, he has some cliches as well, like when he calls the press so that Lightning McQueen can be taken away. Oh, take him away. Oh, I'll never see him again. Yeah, like that, you know, it's not great, but I do like what the character is for the most part. So the character of Doc, I think, does bring the movie up quite a bit. But now you might be like, hey, Lazy Dude, you've been basically bashing this movie this whole time. So if you had your stick, if you had your Pixar Good Movie Street stick, would you snap it? No. And the reason is that while there isn't a whole lot of amazing with this movie, there is nothing really to hate either. Yes, the story is by the book, but by the book doesn't mean bad. By the book means average, you know? It means that they're just following the basic recipe, like I said before. You know, it means that there's nothing about it that makes it stand out from any other animated movie at the time, which is why it didn't end up winning Best Animated Feature. Although, to be honest, I'd be happy if it won over Happy Feet. That is We'll get to that movie eventually. But honestly, that year I was pulling for Monster House. Monster House deserved that. I'm still pissed off that one didn't win. But anyway, this is a movie that kids will enjoy, and if you grew up with it, you probably look back on it fondly. Honestly, even me, I kind of still have positive feelings towards it. I don't hate the movie at all. It's fine, and honestly, that's kind of the big problem that everyone has with Cars, because Pixar at that time, with the exception of Bug's Life, which is a little cliched, but still visually creative, and, you know, there's still a lot of good going on in there, Pixar movies weren't just fine. They were great. They were amazing. They were game-changing. And this is the first time it was just like, well, that's a movie. But I don't think that's fair, because I think that every film should be criticized on their own merit. There are definitely some elements that are above average. Like the animation, for sure, is top-notch. Great Pixar animation. But there is a lot of stuff that bring it down to having the Hallmark-like story, the cliched characters, having just a bunch of the same samey stuff that we've seen many times before and many times after. It makes it more of a by the book. The world of the movie is creative, but it's also limited. There's a lot of colorful characters, but most of them aren't memorable. The story is basic, but doesn't handle the basic things badly. It just doesn't do anything special with them. So I'm giving Cars a 5 out of 10. Honestly, it's not terrible. It's an average movie. It just handles things very cliched and by the book. And by the book means you're gonna get a formulaic, normal, average film, and that's what it is. It's an average movie. But it doesn't really deserve a whole lot of hate, but it really doesn't deserve to be acknowledged as a movie that's special at all, really. To put it in car terms, it's not drive, it's not in reverse, it's just in neutral. So thanks for watching my animated look back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Put a comment below on whether you like Cars or whether you found it overrated or underrated, whatever your feelings, I'd love to hear it. And make sure you head over to the community page and vote for my next animated look back. Your choices are All Dogs Go to Heaven, Balto, and you know, I haven't reviewed an anime in a while, so I'll just throw a random one on there. How about Akira? Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. But in any case, I'll see you on the next animated look back.
So stickers, last one to Flo's buys?
I don't know. Why don't we just take a drive?
Nah.